Peace, 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 peace. What's good, family? I just want to do a short video. I may do a longer video about the subject of Juneteenth in regards to what I've seen online about Juneteenth. I've seen a lot of negative comments and untrue and really ignorant comments and dialogue about what Juneteenth is. Um, and in particular, I've seen and listened to what Judge Joe Brown and Willie D have said about Juneteenth versus what I've seen um, Professor Karen Hunter and Dr. Greg Carr say about Juneteenth, particularly Greg Carr, Professor Greg Carr, who's a historian and an educator and a lawyer by trade and a very knowledgeable man. You may remember him from In Class with Carr, I think that's the name of it, with Nick Cannon when he went on the campus of Howard University. Now, I like Judge Brown. I like a lot of what Willie D says. These are YouTube personalities and celebrities. Willie D is a former um, rapper with the Ghetto Boys, and Judge O'Brown is a former judge and a former TV judge, and now you see a lot of him online. I believe he also ran for mayor or city council in Memphis, Tennessee. They both speak the truth, but when it comes to subjects like Juneteenth, I'm starting to see a lot of things. I'm starting to see how in our community with these so-called celebrities who are spouting their opinions on things, like Willie D, like Judge Joe Brown, who I like, who I respect, who I feel like have a lot of value, have a lot of knowledge to say, but on some certain issues, it's really becoming apparent to me that there's a difference in our community when it comes to those babas or those educators or those teachers who really are trying to build knowledge and trying to build understanding and ultimately trying to build a nation, trying to build and strengthen the culture, and versus those of us that always are talking about mostly injustice and how bad things are, and things are bad and things are very unjust. But there's a difference between wanting to create a nation, and wanting to move forward as a culture, than there is talking about the oppression and things that we don't like. So I've seen a lot, on both sides as it comes to this Juneteenth. But what I'm going to do is post in this link. I'm going to post a link underneath this that just gives you a view of what I'm talking about. I'll post a link to Willie D's conversation and Judge Joe Brown about Juneteenth, and then I'll also link the one with Professor Hunter and Dr. Greg Carr. This is a bigger issue than those four people, but I feel like we are in such a position as people of African descent, black people, however you want to label us. We either have people that are talking more about oppression and everything that they're doing to us, meaning the white power structure, versus those of us that are exposing the white power structure, capitalism, and all the rest of that, but also are pointing a way to what we can do in terms of how we unify and how we move forward. There is a huge difference between the two, and we have to be very cognizant and very awake. It's one thing to shout black power. It's another thing to actually get behind people that are giving us the pathway and knowledge to getting there. So I was I was discouraged by what I heard from Willie D, to be honest with you, and I'm discouraged by a lot of things I hear from these keyboard revolutionaries or the meme movement that's out there. People that have never stepped a foot in the streets to do anything about anything. They'll complain about Black Lives Matter one day and justice, and then, the next day somebody else gets killed. We're back to the same rotating cycle. But these same people will not point out or not participate in organizing struggles and campaigns where we can actually get free. And that's a big, big problem in our community. I think on my last video I shouted out the Black Power blueprint that the Uhuru movement is doing in St. Louis. They're actually creating community spaces and community gardens where we can organize and struggle, for food security and, to get property and to really build Black Power rather than just shouting Black Power, owning our own spaces, which we can make not only safe but empowering. But then you have those people that are always just talking about, what they're doing to us, and then you have those people that are talking about who the sellout is and who the sellout is not. And to me, it's very proactive versus reactive. And as a person that's been involved in one way or another with the Black movement, starting in '85 when I was, I'm dating myself now. In '85, when I was a junior in high school and I joined the Black Student Union, I've been organizing for most of my life, off and on, not all the way through, but since 1985. And what is that, 36 years now? So, I mean, so I see a lot of things, and I can tell by the way that certain people talk, and when they talk, that they've never been involved in the movement. They've never been involved in anything beyond typing on a keyboard. And I'm not discouraged, but I'm starting to realize that most of these guys that talk the loudest, guys and gals, usually aren't doing anything in the streets, not doing anything to improve our condition as a people. And not only that, but like when you come to the whole vaccine debate and you talk about everything that's happening. I mean, as I said before, I've lost an uncle to the vaccine. I've almost lost a few people. I know several people that have gotten sick as well. And I feel like I won't even go too much into that. I feel there's a lot of misinformation about vaccines that are out there. And people, it shows. This time last year I was still dissing vaccines. I'm sure of it. But it's like, the more information I got, I started to see the real truth. And the problem is, whether you believe in vaccines or not, or stuff like that, information changes, data changes, and we get more information. We start making different choices. Like people don't wear gloves for the most part anymore. People don't. A lot of people, not all. I mean, there's, but more people realize that when you're outside, you don't need a mask. You don't need a mask outside if no one's around you 6 feet. In fact, if nobody's around you 6 feet, you don't need a mask, period. But that information has changed, so that information comes and changes. But there's a lot of people that still wear masks. Nobody can be around. They're still wearing a mask and jogging, doing dangerous stuff. There's still a couple people still straggling and wearing cross-contaminating gloves. There's still people out there that, with the old information, and it took more information for me. That means it took growth and keeping an open mind. And I find that a lot of our people don't have that. Too many of our people. Usually the meme movement and the keyboard revolutionaries are the ones that do that. So it's really interesting because you get to a point where they say that this is the information age, right? But there's so much disinformation there. People fall in for the conspiracies. They'll fall in for the memes. They'll fall in for YouTube videos rather than doing their own independent research and really using their own mind. We follow trends in our community, which is bad. Trends always change. You can't create a culture off of trends, unless those trends are always positively elevating and ascending and pushing the culture forward, So it's not just because Dr. Carr and Professor Karen Hunter are in teaching in college and in the quote-unquote intelligentsia. It's the fact that they're creating knowledge. I mean, they're giving out knowledge and they're creating platforms. They have a platform called Knarrative, which tells our story, which is Black-owned, which is being built out. Professor Carr has Africana Studies that he teaches online and at Howard University. But all this stuff is accessible for everyone. Whereas you see individuals like a Willie D and a Judge Joe Brown, I don't always see them offering solutions beyond retribution to crimes that are committed against us, beyond suggesting that, we know who our real enemy is and that we target our real enemy, which I'm not against. I know who our real ops are. I remember posting something about ops, and Willie D actually replied, and basically he said, "How do you know they were black?" or something like very argumentative. And I like the brother, but sometimes the stuff that he posts, some stuff that he puts online, it's just like, bro, come on. I just find more value in Professor Greg, Dr. Greg Carr, and Professor Karen Hunter. And again, not just because they're in colleges and what we consider maybe black intelligentsia, but because they offer actual real knowledge and solutions to the problems that we see in our community. So I'm gonna post a link to both of those, to those entities. So Willie D, Judge Joe Brown, and I should say three, and Professor Carr and Karen Hunter. But I guess in closing, now that it's interesting. I just posted something on Facebook. It's like one day a lot of people will diss Juneteenth as a holiday, but then we'll celebrate Father's Day the next, or as I said, after Christmas we'll diss Kwanzaa, and then we won't really participate even in the MLK Day. But then it's back to Easter, we're celebrating. It's back to Mother's Day. It's back to Father's Day. You know what I'm saying? And it's like we should honor, if Christianity is your faith, you honor that. If you want to honor your father or your mother, you can do that, but you should do that daily. You should have Christ in your heart daily. You shouldn't need a colonized, commercialized holiday to spend money to post about. And then what's worse, you disrespect black holidays or black commemorations that could actually help build black businesses, which can create black employment, which can create a stronger community. You don't honor those organizations that are out there on the streets that are doing things, but yet you'll disrespect. Yet you'll. Well, let me just say, you won't. You won't give a solution. Like you'll disrespect or critique black organizations like Black Lives Matter or other organizations, but you won't join one or start one. But a lot of us will complain about it without solutions. So that's what I have, a problem with reaction to racism versus us actually building a nation. And I feel like Professor Carr and Professor Hunter and Dr. Carr, who's also a professor, have better solutions, because I'm tired of just talking about the problem. What about the solution? So all that said, I'll put the links down to all of that, including Knarrative, which is a great platform for all of us to join. And I hope you guys got something out of this, and I hope that we can move forward in positivity and creating a nation. I'll let y'all later. Peace.